Oh, not there. You and Clarissa. I am sick of putting up with her. Oh, 300 miles to your mother's place? I would rather sit with my mother than here with you. Oh, come on. Oh, please. Oh, if I was having a conversation with Bob or something.
I was born in Malaysia. Growing up was very difficult. My dad and my mom weren't in a very good relationship. Before I was born, they've already have decided to be separated and wanted a divorce. Yeah, because everyone would always argue about not to keep me, to give me to my dad, and my dad didn't want me. So it was always this constant debate, like my whole life. At 9 years old, I kind of wanted to give up and wanted to end my life because I was very unwanted. My aspirations when I was young was to have a family. That was my biggest dream, to have love. I was very angry at everything. I was very alone. I would always go to school crying. And no one really understood why I was crying, so I got bullied a lot. Every time I cry, my grandma would try to cheer me up. She would take a reference book and be like, draw this and try to copy it. I drew a dog and I drew my family, like all of my family, but they were all happy, which I know can never happen. And I remember my grandma would tell me to study hard so that I can leave as soon as possible so that I'm able to have my whole life. I remember sort of counting down the time, like, okay, I'm 9 now, 10, 11, and waiting for the time that I'm like 18 or 20 or 21 so that I can leave the situation as soon as possible. My biggest dream was to work for Disney and Pixar or to make a children's animation. Everyone told me that I shouldn't go into arts because it's very difficult. You have to be very good to earn money and you won't be able to make a living out of it. I was very like, the more you tell me I can't do something, the more I'm gonna be like, I'll show you. In 2018, I managed to work really hard and I got partial scholarship.
Wow.
But there wasn't a degree available in my country, so there were a few options that I could take. One of which was Singapore, Australia, UK, or US. In Australia, I took 2D animation course to study. It was a very big culture shock. Being religious here is also not common, so it was really hard. I was Protestant Christian when I came to Australia. I wanted to find a church, a place where I could call home, because I had some bad experiences back at home, and that made me just wanted to be closer to God. And I went to a few churches here in Australia, and they felt like a party. From a Malaysian perspective, I'm very conservative. Party, it's not natural to me. I was complaining to my university classmate how it's really difficult to find a good church here, and I was going to a lot of different churches trying to find the right one, but nothing really seemed to fit. But I didn't know that he was religious, and I also didn't know that he was in the Church of Christ. He was like, I'll invite you to evangelical mission. I've never heard of the Church of Christ until I went to the evangelical mission. That's when I first heard the word Church of Christ.
Habang papalapit ang araw ng kawakasan, ang araw ng ikalawang pagparito ng ating Panginoong Kristo, ang dapat sa atin, lagi tayong nakikita sa pagsunod. Sapagkat yon ang makapagbibigay kasiyahan sa Diyos para nang sa ganon hindi tayo mapahamak sa araw ng paghuhukom. Kundi yung pangakong kaligtasan natin atin pong matamo mula sa ating Panginoong Diyos. Kaya napakahalaga mga kapatid na magawa natin. Magbigay kasiyahan tayo sa ating Panginoong Diyos. Hindi tayo mapapariwara. Hindi tayo mapapahamak. Lagi tayong nandoon sa tama sa mga pagpapala ng ating Panginoong Diyos. Sapagkat nasa atin yung kanyang patnubay, nasa atin yung kanyang proteksyon. Kaya gusto nating tayo ay makapagbigay kasiyahan sa Diyos. Kaya kinakailangan natin sundin ang lahat ng utos ng Diyos. Maging yung kanyang mga tuntunin, sundin natin yon. Alam nyo, wala pong malulugi. Pagka tayo ay naging masunurin, pagka tayo ay sumunod sa mga aral ng ating Panginoong Diyos. Mapapabuti ang bawat isa sa atin pagka ginawa natin yon. Kaya huwag kayong papayag na merong kalooban ng ating Panginoong Diyos na ating nalalabag. Dapat nating matiyak lahat ng kalooban niya nagagawa natin. Gawin natin mayroong pagpupumilit para nang sa ganon, mabubuting bagay ang matanggap natin mula sa ating Panginoong Diyos.
So I went to my first evangelical mission at Dandenong, and I really liked it. Everything was based off the Bible. Nothing was based off personal opinion. I really liked how every question that I had in my head was answered later on during the evangelical mission. As a Protestant, we believe that God is Jesus. That never made sense to me. But then when I came into the Church of Christ, and the very first things that the evangelical mission was that God is God, Jesus is Jesus, the Holy Spirit is Holy Spirit. They're not the same. And then I was like, oh, that feels good. Thank you. I attended my first worship service. The teachings were all based off the Bible. Nothing was added on. There was no personal opinions. I think that was my biggest sort of drawn to it. So I enrolled into Bible study after the worship service. And then COVID happened. When COVID was first announced, people were scared. People were like leaving countries, coming into countries. So my family actually wanted me to go back to my country. But if I go back to my country, I can't worship God because they wouldn't let me. They don't understand the importance of worship service.
Ang hangad natin, makarating tayong lahat sa kaligtasan. Pero napakaraming hadlang, napakaraming mga bagay na nagaganap sa paligid natin, hindi pangkaraniwan. Pero kung nabibigyan natin ng kasiyahan ng ating Panginoong Diyos, nakatitiyak tayo yung kanyang proteksyon, yung kanyang patnubay, igagawad niya sa bawat isa sa atin. Kinakailangan, nagagawa natin yung inaasahan ng Diyos sa atin para yung pagbibigay kasiyahan sa Diyos, magawa natin at matanggap natin ang kanyang pagpapala. Pinag-uulit-ulit namin yan, mga kapatid, sapagkat yan ang kinakailangan nating magawa sa kasalukuyang panahon. Kasi paano tayo maliligtas kung madadaig tayo ng lahat ng pagsubok? Hindi naman natin kayang mag-isa yun. Di po ba? Makakaya ba niyong mag-isa yung mabibigat na pagsubok at suliranin sa buhay na ito? Makakaya ba niyo?
Hindi po.
Sino kailangan natin para makaya natin yun?
Diyos po.
Para magawa ngayon, makaya natin sa tulong ng Diyos, ano dapat nating gawin? Bigyan natin siya ng
Kasiyahan.
kasiyahan.
When I was undergoing Bible studies, I was going through a lot of persecutions. So my family actually thought I was in a cult. They didn't understand why I wanted to be the Church of Christ. They also felt that going to worship service twice a week and all the activities and everything, it's a lot. It's hard for people to understand. So they were like, just pick the easiest one. I told them that I didn't want to pick the easiest one. And I've always wanted to worship God properly. I wanted to focus purely on like whatever God says. I got baptized on the 27th of November 2020. During pandemic, things in my past that I ran away started resurfacing that I had to deal with.
Clarissa, I am sick of putting up with her. This is ridiculous. 300 miles to your mother?
I was at uni and I was going through a lot of uni stress, and the stuff in my brain was like really affecting me. And I was so stressed that it got to a point that my body got affected. And sometimes when I cough, I remember I would cough into the sink and there would be a little bit of blood as well. The doctor was quite concerned. He made me do a form where I had to fill out to check my mental health and to see if there was anything wrong. I was officially diagnosed with depression. I had to see a psychologist, but none of the psychologists wanted to take my case because it was so severe. The doctor said that I might have to be taking antidepressants for years, like a long time, because of everything that happened. During those times when I went through difficulty, I prayed and I asked God to help me. Whatever you decide, God, like if you want me to go through it, I'll go through it. So I'll just follow whatever you decide.
Kaya kayo, kinukumbinsi namin mga kapatid, gawin din nyo ito. Subukan ninyong gawin. Lalo na yung nasa kahirapan, yung nasa pagsubok, yung nasa kapighatian, yung may karamdaman. Gawin ninyo ang nakapagbibigay kasiyahan sa Diyos. Madali ninyong mararanasan yung kanyang mga pagpapala. Mamuhay tayo na pinangangasiwaan natin ang ating sarili para tayo maging karapat-dapat sa ating Panginoong Diyos. Kaya sinusunod natin yung lahat ng kanyang kalooban. Hindi tayo pumapayag na meron tayong nalalabag sa kanyang mga kautusan. Kung kinakailangan ng kasiglahan sa ating mga paglilingkod, gagawin natin lahat yon. Sapagkat alam natin kapag yun ang ginawa ng bawat isa sa atin, makikinabang tayo sa mga pagpapalat biyaya ng ating Panginoong Diyos na nasa Kanya. Huwag sana kayong mabigo na ang mga bagay na kailangan ninyo sa inyong buhay para kayo ay makapagtaguyod sa paglilingkod hanggang sa makarating sa kaligtasan ay matamo ninyo sa ating Diyos. Hindi po mahirap na mangyari yun. Pagka binigyan natin ng kasiyahan ng ating Panginoong Diyos, natitiyak natin yung lahat ng kanyang kabutihan, matatamo natin sa ating buhay.
So everything I prayed for, like, it happened. I was off antidepressants officially, and I stopped taking it. And it's like truly a miracle that God fixed it. But I'm like very grateful that God took it away. And I can serve Him properly. And it all started changing when I stopped trying to take control, when I started trusting in Him completely. I have this big family now, and something that I never thought I could ever have, and something that I even completely forgotten. It wasn't on my priority, it wasn't on the things that I was praying for, but God gave them to me. And I look at them, and every day I feel so happy and so grateful. And seeing how they treat me is a testament to God's constant love and blessing in my life. So when God entered my life and I started to focus on Him instead of myself, I changed. I changed for the better. I don't participate in anything that goes against God's teachings. I follow the lessons that were given to us during the worship service, and I follow them very closely. I know for sure that if I wasn't in the Church of Christ, if I didn't have God, I would have like ended my life a long time ago. All my troubles and difficulties became more manageable. All the things I thought were impossible, all the things that I thought could never happen, started happening for me. And it happened so fast, and the blessings that came in were so much. The blessings were overwhelming. I'm currently a choir member. I'm also an LOS secretary. I have 2 teaching positions at 2 different universities. I'm also currently a 2D animator at an animation studio. My husband and I are both in INC Animations. INC Animations basically is making cartoons, but for the edification and propagation for the Church of Christ. Whatever the church needs in terms of animation, we'll be there to help as much as we can. Thank you so much to Ka Eduardo for everything and all the sacrifices that you've made for the church board. It's truly very inspirational, especially coming from someone who wasn't born in the church board. Seeing all the things that you've done for the church and makes me want to do the same.
Wala kaming hangad, mga kapatid, kundi kayo ay maligtas. Kaya Araw-araw, yan ang lagi naming iniisip. Paano kaya namin mapatitibay ang mga kapatid? Paano kaya magagawa na sila ay laging nasa pagkandili at pagpapala ng ating Panginoong Diyos? Kaya itong magiging paksang diwa natin, napakahalaga na sana ay magawa natin. Sapagkat sa oras na magawa natin ang Diyos natin, ay mabigyan natin ng kasiyahan. Mga kapatid, ginagarantiyahan ko sa inyo, gagaang ang lahat ng bagay na nagpapabigat sa inyo.